Just Kidding by Trudy Ludwig. There are times I hate being a kid. Here I am, waiting to see which team will choose me for some pickup basketball. The decision rests on a stupid game of rock, paper, scissors. We'll play 2 out of 3, says Vince to Cody. Loser gets DJ. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors. That's what I feel like, a loser. Like I've got a big L stamped on my forehead. Rock, paper, scissors. Back at my old school, my friends would joke around with me, but they never made me feel like I was a joke. Rock, paper, scissors. Ha! You lose, Cody, says Vince. DJ's on your team. I look at the guys. Nobody says anything about Vince's dumb way of choosing whose team I'm on. Suddenly, I don't feel like playing and start heading home. Hey, DJ, where are you going? Calls Vince as I walk off the basketball court. Home, I shout. What's the matter, DJ? Can't you take a joke? I was just kidding. Some joke, I snap back and break into a run. I race across the baseball field, past a bunch of houses that line my street, and to my treehouse in our backyard. Jerks! I yell from the treehouse. They're all jerks. Then I sit there, thinking back on all the times Vince made fun of me in front of other kids. When I first came to Roosevelt Elementary a month ago, Vince seemed friendly enough, but when I tried out for the soccer team he was on, things started to get a little weird between him and me. Hey, Vince, I told him, Coach Dibbs said I'd be a great goalie for the team. Did you hear that, guys? Vince called out. DJ's going to be our new girlie. And all the kids laughed as Vince pranced around the soccer field with a goofy look on his face. I laughed along with them because Vince was so funny. But it really bugged me that he made a joke instead of congratulating me. Yesterday morning when I got on the school bus, I headed to my usual seat, way in the back, next to Vince, Brian, and the other guys. Right when I sat down, Vince asked, "Are you wearing a pajama top to school?" Before I could answer, he started poking me with his finger, chanting, "DJ's wearing PJs, DJ's wearing PJs." "That's not funny, Vince," I said. Poke. "Quit it!" Poke. "Knock it off, Vince." Poke. "Cut it out!" Everyone on the bus got really quiet, and the bus driver glared at Vince and me through his rearview mirror. Vince looked all innocent-like and said loud enough for the driver to hear, "Geez, I was just kidding." Then today, Vince comes up with his lame way of placing me on a team. I've had it. "DJ, are you in the treehouse?" asked Dad from below. I'm too angry to answer, so I don't. "DJ, are you okay?" "I don't want to talk about it." "Well, why don't we just play some catch instead?" I join Dad in the yard, and he hands me my baseball glove. We toss the ball in silence. The rhythm of the ball going back and forth calms me down a bit. After a while, Dad asks, "You ready to talk about it now?" "Yeah." So I tell him how Vince teases me in ways I don't think are funny. I try to ignore him so he'll stop, but he doesn't, I say. Then I end up losing it, looking like I'm the jerk because I can't take a joke. "I just don't get it, Dad. Why does he pick on me like this?" "DJ, you may never know exactly why kids like Vince are mean to you, but I do think it has more to do with what's going on with him than it does with you," he says. We toss the ball a little more. Then Dad suggests we play a game to help me figure out how to handle myself when kids like Vince pick on me. He calls over my big brother Nick to help. "This game worked for me, Nick, and I think it'll work for you too," adds Dad. "Nick? No way." "Yup," nods Nick. "The same kind of thing happened to me at school last year." "There's only one rule in this game," says Dad. "You can't say or do anything mean back to the teaser." Nick goes first to show me how the game is played and calls Dad Four Eyes. "You're right," Dad says. "Wearing glasses is like having an extra set of eyes. Thanks for noticing." "Good one, Dad," laughs Nick. When it's my turn, I can't think up anything great to say, so I just act goofy, and that cracks us all up. The next morning, I get on the school bus and sit down next to Brian. Vince moves to the seat right behind us. I know he's up to no good. Sure enough, he starts making his move, this time on Brian. "Hey, bedhead," Vince says. "Did you bother looking in the mirror this morning?" Brian squirms in his seat as some kids on the bus watch in silence. "Cool do," I say to Brian. Then I mess up my hair even worse than Brian's and make a fish face to go with my new crazy hairdo. The kids around us burst out laughing. Vince doesn't say another word the rest of the way to school. "Thanks, DJ," whispers Brian. "No problem," I whisper back. I'd like to say that Vince stopped bugging me after that, but he didn't. I even caught him red-handed in class sticking a wad of gum on my chair. When I told him to take it off, he just laughed and walked away. So my dad and I met with the teacher, Mrs. Winter, and asked for her advice. Mrs. Winter said she was glad we told her about this problem. "Vince has somehow learned that it's okay to say and do hurtful things to people," she said. "I'll have the school counselor work with Vince to teach him the skills he needs to be a better friend." In the meantime, she adds, hanging out with the kids that make you feel good about yourself. "It's also important to let me know if Vince continues to pick on you." "But I don't want to be a tattletale." "Tattling is important when you're trying to get someone in trouble," explained Mrs. Winter. "Reporting is when you're trying to help someone in trouble. In this case, DJ, you're reporting because you're in trouble and you need help." So I followed Mrs. Winter's advice, and Vince eventually stopped bugging me so much. Don't get me wrong, it's fun to kid around with your friends and family, but I learned the hard way that when a joke has a sharp edge to it, it can cut you in pieces. Now I hang with Brian, Joe, and Miguel. We horse around and have fun without making fun of each other, and that's just the way we like it. The end.